Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's 193 days until Christmas 2024. And here we are. You know, it's been a minute since I've got to come on to a live stream and talk with my friends. I talked to Meg today. We've been chatting. She's busy. She can't make it. There's things going on with her. You guys keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and be sure you're supporting her channel. And my friend Jason Ward. Jason,
I'll burn your stone castle down.
Oh, you're up to
Hi.
no good.
Everybody.
We'll talk about that. Hey, so I put a poll in the chat.
A North Pole. No.
Yeah. Well, I've got to ask you, which is your favorite? Darth Zipperface,
Okay.
Smile-O Ren,
Mm-hmm.
Darth Grill, or none of the above?
I'm gonna go with Darth Grill.
Darth Grill.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He reminds me of, like in World War II, and they would draw like the mouth on the side of like the flying tigers, kind of like airplanes. It reminds me of that.
Very good. It's fantastic. I love some of the names they've come up with.
I like Darth Gimp as well. I give him Darth Gimp. He does look a little like he's about to be in that pawn shop in Pulp Fiction.
That's a little more naughty. So I have that off of the list. I'm more with the Smile-O Ren.
Smile-O Ren is good. Yeah,
I really like it. So it's good to see you all here. Fitz is in there hazing me about Plagueis. Risman's in there hazing me about the Ray delay. And then we've got, nice people there too. We've got
and friends. No.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. There are buds.
We're having a good time here. And this is one of the things I want to talk about today. And we were chatting about it this morning on Discord in our little group chat, is that amongst friends, it's perfectly fine to haze one another. We love to do it here. They haze me in the chat. I like to haze people in their chats. It's what we do. It's fun. And if one of your friends disagrees with you about a thing, well, then you haze them about that thing, right? What a terrible taste they have. Why don't they like good music or decent
like Phil Collins or something? That would be embarrassing. Like if you had a friend who thought Phil Collins was actually considered art, you just be like, what? Huh?
I was going to bring that up, but you beat me. Yeah. I mean, the people that can't recognize the pure joy and entertainment of Phil Collins' music, it's really good. So
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Oh, so much fun. But we'll do that kind of thing. We'll haze one another, and it's all good. And we can have critical discussion about things. And we're going to do that today. One of the reasons my Discord got started was because there was so much uncivilized discussion going on. And our friend Baymax started the Discord because we needed a place to go where people could say what they think without attacking one another, right? And it's great. We have great discussions there. On Meg's Discord, likewise. Your Discord, whenever you don't do much there.
No, I do it in I'm in the shadows.
You are. And
I use Darth Magus as my puppet. She's my mall.
Sam the Sham. Darth Plagueis had tartar buildup. Many of us would consider unnatural.
Yeah. Trained by Darth Plaque. Yeah, I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Yes, very good. Nice. Darth Thrill needs more votes. So yeah, we're going to talk about, because the dialogue amongst the fandom, and there's been all kinds over the last few days, has been terrible.
An acolyte.
Oh my God, the Acolyte. Yeah. I was thinking about this, and I didn't catch Baymax in time to help me out with the thumbnail. But in the prequels, it's begun the Clone Wars have, except this fans fighting, right? The Acolyte, the Acolyte, whatever. This isn't the first fight we've had, and it comes out frequently, and I think a lot of it depends on which side of the enjoyment, right? You're either loving something or hating it. If you come out on a widely popular show and it's just not tracking for you, you'll get called all kinds of names because you're just in there trying to hate Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You are loving a show that's widely getting panned.
But what you don't understand is that it killed Star Wars. That's what you don't understand.
Yeah, right.
For the record, I'm very mixed on the show, and I think when you say that, you sound dumb.
Right.
Just be honest.
Well, and I've seen a lot of that. People saying, "Wait, I went into this episode 3 thinking it was going to completely destroy Star Wars, and I watched it, and there's things that I like, dislike, whatever, but." Didn't destroy anything.
It's weird that some people think that like the last thing they heard means it's like the law of the land, and that characters and organizations within a story don't have different perspectives on things. Yeah. Like if you have a coven full of witches, are they gonna like think that the Force is a woman and see it within female terms? Probably. Just like men oftentimes see God in male terms, if it's not defined, that's how they would see it. It's pretty basic stuff, and but it's like it's not really worth getting upset about. That's what I find to be like the strangest thing about it. But I think that there's a contingent of people that have been wanting to fight this. Back in the day, we were like, oh hey, they wrapped filming. People are like, they never even started filming. They owe tax money, and it was like lots of weird kind of things like of that. Those people are making it worse, but those people will always make it worse because they're actually bullies who want to bully nerds. They're probably nerds themselves, but they want to bully nerds, and they can't do it in real life because bullying's not acceptable anymore. And so this is like their way of doing it. I think that's how this goes, because I've seen this just each time and time again. But on this one specifically, it's been like very hot, and I don't like it. But I think that I disagree with them. But I agree with them that the show isn't good, but I've seen the show and then I made my opinion, as opposed to some of those people who have been saying for over a year that it's not good and it didn't even get filmed.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but holy simoleons.
Oh, wow. Rich.
Oh my goodness. Mumbo Jimbo's been hanging around forever. He's been with this show since the inception, I believe. He's been hanging around. Hello, Santa and Jason. Well, hello to you. This is, I haven't been able to join either of your live streams recently. Santa knows why, and I could share the news if he wants.
He plays Yord. He's Yord.
Stop by for a few moments to say hello, and thank you both for your shows. I'll watch later. Mumbo Jimbo, you are absolutely welcome to share what you're comfortable sharing. It's up to you. It's up to you. But yeah, there's a couple other things to talk about here, and you touched base on one. And first of all, Mumbo Jimbo, thank you so much. That $50 goes a very long way to helping us out here. It really does.
Elves gonna eat now. Elves get to eat.
It makes a tremendous difference. I can't express enough how big of a deal that is. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, so you touched base on something. So there's a bunch of controversy, and I see some of it talking a lot about things outside of the show, right? And
Yeah.
I've talked about this a little bit here and there, and this is what I least like talking about. But we'll spend a few minutes talking about it.
Okay.
Star Wars PR or Lucasfilm PR and Lucasfilm marketing, I think, fall short of what they could be doing. Trying to be nice here, right? I think they suck.
They suck.
Right? Just come right out and say it. I think they're terrible.
Even the shills are like, you guys suck.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of it is dealing with the reality of things. And there's the old proverb about the alligator and the frog and, crossing the river, and the frog gets on the back of the alligator. It changes in different cultures. Sometimes it's a scorpion. Sometimes it's different things. But
make it Star Wars. Make it Star Wars. You can do it. I believe in you.
Oh, I can. Just give me a second.
The frog is Frog Lady from Mando.
No.
Okay.
The bantha.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You got to have a bantha. No, not a bantha.
I broke his brain, you guys. I broke his brain. You're welcome.
No, we have to have a rancor and a what's something small enough to? Could you say an Eopie? An Eopie wants to ride on the back of the rancor across the desert. It was way too tired of going across the desert on its own feet.
Right.
So the Eopie says to the rancor, "Hey, buddy, do you think this one time you could take me across the desert?" And the rancor's like, "Well, sure, dude." And he said, "Well, but the Eopie says, but one condition: you can't eat me. There's no biting." Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, be nice. And Womp Rat. Oh, I like the Womp Rat. That's better, Sean. So the Womp Rat makes the deal with the Rancor, and the Rancor says, "Yeah, sure, I'll take you across the desert." Well, about 2/3 of the way across the desert, the Rancor, he's been feeling hungry. He's tired. He's hot. He's like, "You know what would be great right now? A little snacky snack. That would help me get across the rest of the desert." And it so happens I've got a Womp Rat right here, and he chomps the Womp Rat, and they're like, "Dude, I thought we had an agreement." Mm-hmm. He's like, "No, Rancor's got to eat," and that's it, right? So you can't blame the Rancor for being a Rancor, mm-hmm. Right? And a lot of this is just dealing with the reality of the world, whether you like it or not. And the fact of the matter is that the culture we're in, there's a huge culture war going on, and people are fighting on both sides. And anytime there's any perceived bias or agenda or slight one towards the other, there's a fight every single time. And how much do you want to fight? And are you going to take accountability for the fight when it breaks out? If you're the one in there throwing fire or throwing gasoline, and it catches fire and burns down the castle, mm-hmm. Is that the fault of the people who are already kind of queued up to fight, or is it you share some responsibility because you went in and poked the bear and got him going? Mm-hmm. So I think Lucasfilm just does not want to take accountability for the fight every time it breaks out. Like, well, we're just doing good Star Wars, and you guys are fighting over nothing. And that's not true. Mm-hmm. It's simply not true. So a lot of the things going on outside have to do with social agenda. Kathleen Kennedy wearing a shirt that says the Force is female.
But once again, though, that wasn't Star Wars even. That wasn't a Star Wars thing. That was literally a Nike like shoe release brand thing. And Nike gave her the shirt, and because it kind of sounds like Star Wars, and then they make it sound like it is a thing. That one right there, that one annoys me because it's built on crap. And a big problem though, if you actually care about Star Wars, is that when we're talking about this nonsense, like Amanda Stenberg making a joke that Star Wars is gay on a conversation with a gay reporter, when they're, you know what I mean, in a certain context, if you want to like try to change that into being something that's in the show, it's not even in the show. So what's wrong with the show and what's wrong with all of these shows isn't talked about, because we're dealing with like people that want to be armchair activists on Twitter, and it's all irrelevant. All you're doing is making everybody unhappy and yourself, because what you say on Twitter literally doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. It's irrelevant. You are powerless and irrelevant in the situation. And if you wanted to make change in any way for whichever weird side you happen to be on, Star Wars isn't the place to like do it. Like getting involved locally is how you do it. But if you are too lazy to do that, then shut up and stop playing with Star Wars. It's so dumb. It's like, I'm tired of it. Since The Last Jedi, I've been burned out on how stupid it is and how it hasn't changed at all. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no,
preach.
But look, the other day I reached out to my friends and said, "Hey, I'm struggling. I'm having a rough day. And most of you all know my mental health is up and down, and things trigger it. Right? Things trigger my mental health, and there happens to be something in my personal life with my Santa Claus business and stuff that has me super stressed, and it's got me right on the edge. And I've lost sleep over it.
The cup overfills a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of already there, and then the garbage comes in.
Yeah,
and this is supposed to be your escapism,
right?
The star fights.
And I watched the episode, and I'm like, oh man, that was great. I enjoyed it. And at the same time, like I didn't have to go online. I already knew. Back to what you were saying a little bit before, and what I was kind of getting to in a roundabout way, is I'm like, oh crap. This is not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And how did I know it wasn't going to be good? Because there's already kind of this pent up aggravation at Leslie Headland, at Amanda Stenberg, whatever, and Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, and right? It's already built up. People have been saying for years, like you said, since The Last Jedi, Star Wars is dead. They killed it. And then go back to Kylo Ren's statement of kill the past, whatever, right? And it's like, that's not even in context of the movie and what he was saying. It wasn't a meta message to Star Wars fans. It's like, but it's just so exhausting. So exhausting. And with this other stuff going on in my life, I'm like, I do not have the energy for this discussion. I just don't. Now, things have gotten better in the last couple of days. And I'm feeling a little better. And that's what I mean. The emotional health goes up and down and up and down. Mental health is a real struggle. And I acknowledge the things that trigger it. And I know what is there. And fortunately, the big difference for me is now I have some friends. And before I felt isolated. I go back to like my childhood, right? Like when I was a kid, my mom would come pick me up from school and all the kids would be playing and I'm sitting by myself. And there's a reason for that. It wasn't just because I was a sneaky kid. We're all sneaky kids, whatever, right? I was fine. It's just that I didn't have friends. And I have friends. And now when I go through these mental health issues, I've got people I can reach out to who are there, like Kieran, he's praying for me, and Jason and Meg, they're there to talk with me. Ben, he was reaching out. We had lots of people reaching out and saying, hey, you okay, my friend? I'm like, yeah, thank you. Right? Yeah. That's really good. And it's just this like you said, Star Wars is where we want to come. We want to talk and have a good time. And then amongst your friends, you can call each other dumb because, we're friends.
Yeah, well, I think a difference between some of the conversations where you like it and I don't, right? When we're having it though, we know how much we've had the conversation when the conversation is done. People on the internet, they just keep going at it, and so you'll have somebody who's already had that 5 times, and then they just quit Star Wars. They just go, I'm just not even going to bother online because these people suck. I mean, that's usually, all the time I get emails from people from 2017, 2018 era that are like, hey, I still watch the show. I just don't get involved anymore because it sucks, and that's, but I think some people, that is the agenda, because like I said, it's kind of just a bullying kind of thing. They want to beat up the nerds. But then the other side of it is, I think that some people don't realize how not fun they can be.
Yeah. And there's toxic sides of the fandom. That word toxic goes around and that triggers people. Because some people say the toxic side are the haters. Some people say the toxic side are the fans. There's toxic fans and there's toxic haters. And I'll agree that there are both because, and I shared with you guys just this week, I got told that I didn't have a brain,
Yeah. Well, you got told that you don't have a brain. I saw somebody on Bespin's thing calling him gay stuff because he gave it a 6, but he actually gives things for him, a 6 is good.
Yeah.
But once again, they're like, this is an 8. And the call, and other people were telling him it's you can't win.
Right.
So the only answer is not to play. And that's the whole thing, is you can't play in the fight or it's no fun. You're not it never ends.
Right.
And no one person could actually beat it or solve it.
No.
And then you just end up getting burnt out and leaving. And
yeah. I mean, I see, Meg is our friend. And she's gone through it. And I thought she's done a pretty good job this week. She didn't like the episode, right? She was just like, oh.
Yeah, there.
And she was really, really down. But you watch her videos, and she did a nice job of balancing that. I thought she did a great job. And she gets called all kinds of stuff.
I mean, great. I'd say good, maybe. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know.
She's not here, so she got to defend herself. So that's
true.
That's what she gets.
That's exactly it. That's what happens when you don't show up. You just get
roasted.
Beat up, and then you can't. You just got to take it.
It's called the internet. Accept it, Meg. Dummy.
Well, there's other things. And I posted Alan from Generation Tech. He came out with a pretty bold video the other day. And then because he liked the episode, and he's like, this is probably the most Star Warsy Star Wars that's ever Star Warsed. Basically, that's his video, right?
Okay.
In a nutshell, it's not what he said, but my synopsis of it, right? So, right. So this morning I saw another video of his saying, look, at the beginning, he's talking about just how terrible, mean people were being to him. And I thought he was pretty bold, but if you guys follow Discord, Discord's a place to hang out. I posted an excerpt from it. Did you listen to it, Jason?
No.
Oh, you didn't listen to it?
I have not listened to it.
Okay, let me see if I can share this, because this is worth sharing. You guys, Alan at Generation Tech, I did a little clip. Let me see if I could share here. And I shared it with Matt Risman too this morning. So much fun. Let's see. Oh, I think I got to go. How do I share the entire screen and share the audio? And then let me share this. It's going to be off, but you guys got to hear the audio. So here's my screen, and I'll go to my chat with. I think I can go safely to the chat with Matt Risman. Yeah. So I was having a chat with Matt Risman, and I sent this to him, and this is the Alan's video from today, and it's just a clip that I took. All right, let's see if you guys can hear it.
Carry any living being inside of you is really no easy task. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I once didn't make a poop for like 4 days, and I literally called the emergency room crying because I thought I was going to die. I thought the delivery of said poop would kill me. Carrying any living being.
Look, it's dumb.
I'm glad you lived, bud.
the delivery, the delivery
And,
said poop.
and then did that poop become a Sith? Where was that going?
Was a living being.
Yeah.
Just. Oh, that was too funny, and I just couldn't quit laughing, and I had to clip it and share it with my friends. So it was that. Oh my gosh, so funny. So look, if you watch Alan's video and you agree with Generation Tech and you say, wow, that guy made some really good points. Well, what they'll do is say, well, Alan's a shill. He doesn't know anything. He's dumb. Or try this one on for size. Try quoting Alex or Molly Damon from making Star Wars, not making, sorry,
No.
Jason. From Star Wars Explained.
From stuckupjerks.com.
From Star Wars Explained. Try quoting them sometime. See how that goes.
Oh, geez, Lucasfilm, everything's so good. Oh, can you make it any less good? Because you're making it so good, everything's good. Make it a little less good so it's dynamically good. That's pretty much their whole thing.
Look, I listened to Star Wars Explained, and especially his monthly canon updates. They're great because I don't have time to read all that stuff, but really good stuff. So try quoting him from time to time. Or this week, episode 3, as we're talking about a little bit, I think that there were a couple other pretty major channels, like in that $1 million or $1 million, in the 1 million sub range, right? We had, I just got to scroll back up a little. New Rock Stars, right? New Rock Stars. I think they have 1 million something subscribers. They did a breakdown of it. Was very positive overall. There was also,
but didn't they get to go to like the Lucasfilm thing?
They did.
That's the whole thing. Is like once that happens,
right?
They giving you the good dinner and the good fly and all stuff. You become a lot more forgiving and a lot more like, my friends made this. You do,
well,
you do though.
But if you quote them,
I'm not calling them a shill or anything like that. I'm just saying though, it definitely like, it's not like it's like, just that organic of a, oh wow, it's amazing, kind of thing.
I watched Screen Crush. He did it. Ryan Airy, he did a great job breaking it down, and he was generally positive on it. I watched Alex at Star Wars Explained. I watched Alan at Generation Tech, and I watched a guy that loves Star Wars. A guy who loves Star Wars. That guy did a nice breakdown too. And he's got like 50,000 subs, way more than Santa with my measly 2,500 and shrinking. Right, my subs are on the downward trend.
Shrinkage is a thing.
It is real.
The Star Wars deep end, and the shrinkage is real.
So I've watched My Nerd World with John Justice. He was mixed on it.
I remember him.
Part good, part not good.
Yeah.
So all of that had great. But if you quote any of them who liked it, well, there would be discounted. There'd be no, they're wrong, they're dumb, they're stupid, they're shills, they're this, they're that, because it's the criticism side of it, right? If you, oh my goodness, somebody showed up in the chat that I haven't seen or heard from in a longest time.
Hi, Max.
Yeah, Max. Oh my goodness, I love when Max
Zenda.
She when she's on your show, it's great. But anyhow, the perspective she brings in, I just enjoy it. And the interruptions from her cats, those are great.
Yeah. Those cats are vocal.
It's been a while since I got a Mohawk update, right?
Mhm.
But anyhow, then turn it on the other side, right? If you agree with Star Wars Theory, well, Star Wars Theory, you just mention his name, you'll get a whole nother string of opinions about him as a person. Like, look, people are doing their thing. And if people like a thing, they like a thing. If they don't like a thing, they don't like a thing. Maybe you like their content, maybe you don't.
Well, the thing is like if you go Star Wars Explained to Star Wars Theory, it's just two different panderers from two different sides. They're getting paid from an audience for loving it. They're getting paid for an audience for hating it. That's just what it is. And if you if you have an opinion one way or the other and you want it echoed, then you should follow those kind of people. But if you want to actually like actual like critical analysis of it, you pretty much follow anything else.
Yeah, and you can overdo it either way. I found that I subscribed to a ton of people that I didn't like, and just to get their opinion. Like, really, just do not like them because just get their opinions. And then I follow some people that I mostly disagree with, but they're okay. Thor Skywalker, right? I subscribe to him. Mostly disagree with him. There are lots of things he does that I don't care for. But the guy has reasoned discussion. It's not like just straight shill or straight hate. Even if I disagree with him, right? It's fine. But so I try to get a mix. But boy, I'll tell you, it's harder and harder. And if all you do is get the side that opposes you, it can throw you into depression. And if all you're doing is getting the echo chamber, you can be deaf to what's going on around you, and not, it's not good.
Right.
Yeah, it's terrible. Will, I feel the negativity is being manipulated by the algorithm. 100%. That's true. Aggressively relaxing. I met Star Wars Explained years ago at a comic shop he likes. I was inviting anyone to stump him on Star Wars knowledge. You could bring 3 questions. I thought I would stump easy. Dude knew his stuff. Oh, that's the thing. Like Alex and Molly, they both compete in trivia, and they're both extremely well versed in trivia. They can answer all the questions. They've been reading all the things. They've been studying all the stuff, right? They play the video games. They read, they watch, they do all the things. And people will discount them because they are shills, and maybe it's deserved, right? I'm not saying they don't. Just saying it's a rough landscape out there. That's all. It's a rough landscape. So episode 3.
Episode 3.
So I watched it with my wife. I watched dozens of breakdown analysis, complaining, celebrating the episode, and I watched it again. I've watched it twice, and I'll say the second watch I enjoyed it just as much as the first one. A lot of times it'll change, but this time I enjoyed it second time just as well as the first. And there's a few things we can talk about. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe we would go through there and kind of walk through the episode a little bit. Some of the common complaints and things that people liked, and get your take on it, get my take on it, and allow the chat. I see we're still at. I'm looking at the poll. Which is your favorite? Darth Zipperface is in the lead at 38%. Smilo Rin is trailing a bit at 27%. And then we've got none. Don't care for this game at 23%. And then Darth Grill, aggressively relaxing, gave me that the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. It's there at 12%. So they're it's good time. All right, where do you want to start, Jason?
Well, I mean, just we're starting on episode 3 and what I thought of it. Is that what we're doing? Yeah. So my problem with episode 3 is there's a chance that we're going to get more content around the event that happens in episode 3. However, in episode 3, it mostly only gave us the data that we already had from the previous 2 episodes that was given to us via exposition. A fire broke out. The twins didn't know. They thought each other was dead. And the Jedi did something, but we didn't actually get any of the meat of it, what it was. The only thing I think that was actually new substantial data was, they were in a witch coven, which we already knew through the PR stuff, and that they were made through unnatural means, like through dark magic or something. And so essentially like 2 lines that could have been in the exposition of the previous stuff in some way or placed later on with the actual, like what really happened. That episode should have been what really happened, not what they thought happened, because we already knew what they thought happened. And so in terms of the actual like story of it all, I think it's fine. But in terms of the execution of it, having ladies go, duh, whoa, power 2, power 1, and that kind of, it was Power Ranger dumb. And it was not visually good. It was like, if you take this stuff too seriously, you might be able to be like, yeah. But if you objectively look at it, that was badly performed and directed. And then on top of all of that, they put this incredible amount of weight onto these 2 kid actors who are not ready for that level of role yet. I got a feeling that they had a hard time finding twins who look like Stenberg in the area or something. There was something about that made them have to go with them, but it's not the kids' fault that happened. It was the director's fault for not finding a way to shoot around the kids and to play into the kids' strengths. Like when the kids are fighting like each other, like it's like you see that, and then she's gonna burn her alive. Like it's like, sorry, but you can't go like I'm fighting and then I'm gonna burn you up. And so all of it I just found to be like very poorly executed for the most part. You know, I didn't like the first episode a lot. I was like, the first episode was like a 6, but then the second episode I was like, this is like an 8. I felt like we were on an upward trajectory. Then we get to 3, and I feel like it's like around a 4 or 5. And I was like, oh man, because so much of what happens in those first 2 episodes, and for those first 2 episodes to work in the long run, what happens in that place needs to be compelling. And now we're to a part where I don't know, do we get another episode, or that's like what really happened? And is it like using all the same sets? And it's like, here we go. Like, I feel like it should have been 1 episode. I feel like I just don't, it's not flowing well. It's not making a lot of sense to me at the moment. And if something changes next episode and I'm like, oh, I see why you did that, and you're a genius, I'll readily admit it. And I hope that's what happens because I want this to be good. But it was not working.
One thing is, and I know you're aware of this, but just it bears mentioning, is there's this Rashomon effect, right? That it goes back to like foundational.
To Rashomon. It goes back to Rashomon, the Kurosawa film. Yeah, and that's a film where you see a crime happen from like I think 4 different perspectives, and it takes like the investigator to sort of investigate all of them to actually put together what happens. And we do have this like very I'm just gonna say Asian because I think it's pulling from multiple things at this point, but kind of stuff. So it probably is going to do a Rashomon effect kind of.
Well, it definitely is, yeah.
But I think that the criticism here is Rashomon works in Rashomon, not episode to episode. There was like 5 episodes of Rashomon, and then like, oh, sometimes we're doing it, sometimes we're not. Like it needs to be like in part of the structure of the story itself. And I don't know, but I do think May and Osha are gonna switch sides.
I think they already have.
Well, I don't think May. I don't think May has a reason to feel like she's been robbed yet.
Well,
I think she's going to figure out that if what went wrong, and then I think she's going to be like, "Oh, I hate you guys."
Well, let me just unwind a little bit. But yeah, so the Rashomon effect is coming, right? We know that's coming. There's already been a thing. Trucker Mark asks, how much of the series is going to come from the High Republic? Very, very little, tiny amounts. There are some things, and there's a couple things I want to bring up, but we know for sure that they're going to do another POV replay of the exact same events, right? Same sequence of events.
It seems so. Yeah.
Get more of the story, and the Last Jedi did it. We're going to see it done here too, but they've kind of told us that this was going to be what's coming, right? They've been very open about it. They've been even in the trailers showing the other POV first, and then we get this, knowing that other still hasn't been told. So we know that's coming at some point, and it's like when you watch this episode, at least you can put that framework around it. Be like, a lot of this just doesn't add up. Well, that's true. It doesn't add up because they're going to do this through the Rashomon effect, right? They're going to show the other point of view, and then we're going to figure out what really happened.
But since they already told us that, we already imagined exactly what happened in the episode. Essentially, they didn't need to do it that way. They could have literally showed why May saw what she saw, and then they could have done it's on. I think it seems like it's unnecessary. Like they're just padding out the sets that they had to build, and the sets that the characters who they've already hired, and they're like padded out.
I kind of disagree. Like I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed getting to spend some time there. I'm enjoying more of the slow burn of it, and I don't need for all 3 or 4 versions of this. I know there's at least 3 versions. I think they're going to cut it down to 2. There's at least 3 versions of this that can be told. You've got Osha's perspective that we just saw. So from the part where her sister starts the fire to the point she leaves, that's basically what we're talking about. That sequence of events. We've seen it from there. There's another perspective that's going to come from May's. Then there's a third one, at least a third one, like I said, that's going to be from the Jedi's perspective. And then there's probably a fourth one that would be from the witch's perspective.
Yeah.
Do I think of the 5 episodes left, we're going to get 4 episodes?
No.
Of a good Lord, I hope not. Right.
And I'm hoping we just get like an addendum to it in one of the episodes where it's like a 3-minute moment as opposed to like a 35-minute retelling of the same episode.
Right. That's why I take just that section, right? The part where the fire started through when they left, just that section. The rest of it we have contextualized, I think, fairly well. We were able to see from everybody's perspective, from the story, what happened, and then they cut at that one part. We only see the part. When it comes to May and Osha themselves, and let me just address this because I have it highlighted. Castle made of stone burned. It's bad as space fires. I think there's a lot more to this story than just the castle burned. If
there's a Rashomon thing going on, the kid's gonna get this, gonna like this, and then think that did all of that. It's gonna be something else that did that.
Oh, it's 100%.
It was happening at the same time, and so that's how this will go if that's what's happening.
It was 100%. That's exactly what's going to happen. And so the fires that are other places. So the one at the door was set by her sister, burning her book and then releasing whatever the gas or fluid or whatever is in that container there at the door so it would spread, right?
Yeah.
That part, perfectly explainable. It was a little more fire than there was material, maybe, but whatever.
It was space liquid. Who knows how it burns?
Yeah, some sort of liquid, right?
Whatever. Yeah.
And then if you note later, there are pockets of fire. It's not like the whole castle's on fire, or the whole facility's on fire. There are pockets of fire because there are certain things that are flammable, right? So there's all that. Whatever. So that doesn't bother me, the fires here, because we do not have the full story. And it certainly wasn't from that one container and the book that she burned. Not at all. So
Yeah, I agree.
when I talk about May and Osha, they've already turned. Let me put it in context, is that May was the good kid. She wanted to follow along her parents' path that they set for her. She was doing the things that the coven does. She was following along. She's going through the traditions. She's going to take the vow. She's going to move forward. Osha, on the other hand, is the problem child. She's the one who doesn't follow the rules. She's leaving when she's not supposed to leave. She's not buying into the whole thing they're doing. She wants to leave. She doesn't have any interest in continuing on. And she has no desire at all to be anything like her sister. She wants to be on her own path. So if you look at it from the perspective of parents raising their children, or a community raising their children, May was very much the good kid, and Osha very much the bad kid, the problem kid. And what we've seen then is
May's the problem kid.
No.
She's like trying to choke. She's trying to like murder butterflies and stuff. She's a maniac.
She does have some anger management issues.
She's got the dark triad going. Look it up if you guys don't know what it is.
I'm just saying, she was obedient. She was following what her parents and what the community wanted.
But in a Star Wars context, what does she have though? Overly attached. She is like Anakin Skywalker. Once he loses a little something and he's not ready to lose it, it goes off the deep end. That's where she's at. She's overly attached. She's all, I have everything I need right here. And one of the things about Star Wars is change is going to happen. You got to accept it. And she cannot do it. But
I get that, but she's the good kid. Yeah. May is the good kid. She's following what the coven has set up. She wants to.
Did I misremember this? Because I thought it was Osha that wanted to go out on her own, right? Osha was the one who wants to go out on her own.
Yeah.
And May is the one who wants everybody to be a witch. Everybody be witches.
May takes the vow. She's following what her parents tell her.
Yeah, made it. Yeah.
May is telling her sister, you shouldn't be out here. We're told we're not allowed to be out here. You're being disobedient by being out here. May is like, we need to stick together. We need to do this. May is following everything that the coven has set out, everything that her parents have set out for her to do, she is doing. She's got.
But there are also evil witches who make secret deals with Sith lords.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying,
right?
She started off. She's the good kid from the perspective of the coven. She is doing things. May Osha, and they even tell her, "You're a kid. You don't know what you want. You just think you want to leave here and pursue your own path because you're dumb and you're young. And you got to grow up and mature. Then you'll know." And she is being reprimanded. Which,
by the way, I thought was the gayest moment in the show for all the people that are trying to find like, oh, it's pushing an agenda. I think that was the allegory, to be honest with you. I think that was the actual gay moment of the show. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you like yet. You're too young, which is what they tell gay people all the time. And it was totally overlooked by all the culture warriors. And I laughed at my fat little belly when it happened. I'm not going to lie. Sorry, go on, Seth. I didn't mean to interrupt. But
Matt's kind of tight, right? May is the good kid in a group of people that might be considered bad, right? And Osha is the bad kid in the group who wants to be with the good people. So it's purposefully backwards. Yeah, but there's also this dynamic of twins where, and there's a great interaction between the girls. As bad as their acting is in some parts in the direction, fine. But there's this great interaction between them when May and Osha are arguing, and Osha says, "I don't want to be the same." And we're not the same person. That's what she says. We're not the same person. And May replies back, "Of course we are." Right? Of course we are, because they're identical twins, and they're supposed to be this power of two, and so on and so on. All the
How
stuff,
many?
all the stuff that they were, supposed to do in life. May is like telling her, "You're wrong," right? And from the
Yeah.
perspective of the coven, of the perspective of how she's being raised, she is wrong. But she wants to be her own individual. She wants to plot her own path. And you can see she's having visions where she's drawing the pictures of like the Republic and the lightsaber. And she's having visions of being a Jedi. Even if she doesn't know who the Jedi are, she doesn't know anything about Jedi lore, Jedi anything. This is her first interaction with them. She's had visions. She's drawing these pictures, and they're showing her these are the things, and we would like you to come with us. And I thought that was just fantastic, and being able to see these twins having this interpersonal kind of thing where we want to be the same. No, I don't want to be you. I want to be me. I want to do my thing. And others like, no, you don't. You want to be like, and the mom is telling her, no, you don't. You just think you feel this way now because you feel isolated. You'll grow out of it. And how many of us as kids felt like we were being told by our parents to do things that we didn't want, or to be something you don't want to be, or you want to just discover for yourself who you are and what you want to be. That was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. So that part of the story, there's other parts of it that definitely didn't work for me. This power of one, power of two, power of many. Like the song that the chant they did was terrible. It was terrible. I get what they were doing. I was like, okay. Fortunately, it only lasts about 20 seconds.
Well, these are writers, though. I mean, was that scripted several different times? Because it sounds like it was just like they wrote it down and then they never fixed it. They could have done something a little bit better with it, I think.
Or
said it in Sanskrit and subtitled it, or something that just would have made it not so corny.
Also, there are musicians who create songs that they personally are attached to, but their fans never really dig it. And I feel like in this case, we have the writers that came up with this thing, and they personally loved it, right? They fell in love with their own work, and then they put it out there, and then the public as a large is going, it could have been better.
Yeah. It's like Star Wars isn't like an introspective, follow up to a hit record. You know what I mean? Though it's like on that one, but they have a writing team. That's why I just find it strange personally on that front. But one of the things I think that even the detractors are overlooking in all of this is it's pretty obvious to me that they made a deal with the Sith or something like that. And that's how they got this deal. And you don't make a deal with the devil and he just like says, well, that was the deal. That there's always a caveat. There's always a trick. You know what I mean? You wish I had $1 million and then it all falls on you and you die. It's something stupid like that usually, right? But it's like that's like the genie kind of thing. But in this instance, though, what's going to happen? What happened in? Okay, I don't think that Darth Plagueis and any of that stuff is going to play into the show personally. No. However, what happened when Palpatine messed with the Force? When Plagueis and Palpatine messed with the Force, it rubber banded and tried to add an equilibrium to it. So I'm of the opinion that what ended up happening was they wanted to will one life into existence, and the Force said, "Boop, here's your other one."
Jason, I ought to pay you for giving me great transitions.
Okay,
you're not going to like where I go with it, but I'm just trying to be complimentary as I get ready to bring up something you're not going to like. But I just touch base on a couple of comments real quick.
Dark Tenebrous is gonna. No, I'm kidding. Go on.
Star Wars keeps getting negative comments from idiots. There'll come a time when major stars don't want to be attached with it. They're afraid it'll damage their reputation. I think that's possible. There's certainly a narrative around that already. Let it burn, let it burn. And Will Morgan's gone the whole Frozen, where we've got the two sisters. One has power, the other doesn't, and the power of snow and ice and the power of fire. That May has the power of fire, and all she needs is her Olaf. Right? She needs her companion spirit animal that shoots fire, like a dragon kind of thing. So I kind of get where Will's going with it. I got some weird stuff going on here. Hold on one second.
Okay.
So there's all that. And we'll talk more about that as the show unfolds. There's certainly more to be said. Who's the devil they're going to make a deal with? Oh, we're going to get to that real soon. But there was a question earlier about how does this tie into the High Republic? And then Jason, you just said this part about the Force. When somebody abuses the Force or misuses the Force, pushes the Force too hard in one direction, it tends to recoil.
It makes
in
an
the other
Anakin, a Luke, a Rey.
Right. So there's the talk about when Anakin was born, however you want to say that, right?
Yeah, he was born. He came out of Shmi's vag, I'd say.
Well, how he was conceived.
Conceived, yeah.
That there very well could have been a Grogu as the Force's retaliation to that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some speculation that the Yoda species themselves don't reproduce by normal means, meaning that Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu, the only three that we've really seen, all became because of some Force event, and the Force then pops out another one, right?
Yeah,
something like that. But in this case, if the witches did create the twins, there may be balance in between the twins themselves, but there may also be another counteraction we don't have the full context with in this whole area of time, right? There could be another person out there, another being out there that's going to counter what they did, and that hasn't been told yet. We don't know. The other thing in the High Republic, the Nihil, the bad guys, they have these creatures called levelers. They have several different names, but they're Force eaters to some degree, and they were stolen from some planet way out in hard to get to space, in a very odd kind of planet, in a very kind of different kind of place with a very high Force nexus kind of thing.
Okay.
And they're taken out of that context and they're put into as a weapon. And anytime they come across a Jedi, a Force user, they can disintegrate them to ash by just consuming their entire presence, right? There is now a reaction to that where these places that have been used where the consuming these are now those places themselves being consumed. There's this like consumption disease that'll eat an entire planet. And it seems to be attacking places where these levelers have been or where they have been used. So it seems to be some sort of reaction to that. The other thing is when these mothers are given this thing about pulling the thread and blah, 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 that the ideology they espouse there is very similar to the path of the open hand, which is the precursor to the Nihil, right? So it went from path of the open hand. These people believe if you pull on the Force here, it'll have an effect over there. You do a thing here, it'll have a butterfly effect over there.
And the witches in Ahsoka are also talking about threads of destiny, and that's what they're using to resurrect the dead. So I think that's something that shouldn't be overlooked either, even though they're different, like clans or covens or whatever.
Right.
They're both. It's the same kind of thought process.
Right. So it's very well. So the path of the open hand becomes path of the closed fist, which becomes the Nihil over the ages. So this path of the open hand, their ideology. Then it was led by a mother right, seems to be kind of passed down into this group of witches who have a similar kind of ideology borrowed from it. So there are High Republic kind of influences that we see, other than just what they wear and who, like Vanestra Rowe and things like that. So there's that. And I just wanted to respond to you mentioning, like, if they created Osha and May and using the Force, either they are their own balance, or there may be some other thing out there.
That, I would Occam's razor it though and say it's going to be one of the twins will be the counterbalance to the other one, because that's why that's if it turns out they meant to make one and they made two, that's 100% what it would be. I would think, that would be my reading of or my prediction anyway.
Yeah, and there's also a question. Will Morgan got in trouble. He used a naughty word, and Streamlabs is like, Will Morgan, don't use naughty language.
Yeah, get him, Streamlabs, get him.
And then Mike Porter's like, Streamlabs is being mean again. So anyway, I think they're borrowing little pieces of it, and I love what you said there about the Force reacting. And even though they may not see it this way, it may be what indeed comes of it. We have to wait and see how the story plays out. The other things about the episode that I'm happy are being brought up. A little frustrated because we don't have answers yet, and I'm not sure what the pace is for getting the answers. So got to be a little bit patient, and it's difficult. Are the Jedi recruitment practices? This is something that's been discussed in the fandom for ages, right? Especially since George brought it up in the prequels. It was less so in the original trilogy. We didn't have this issue, but you go back to the prequels and what George brought up and how kids are brought in and no attachments and so on and so forth. People have been asking these questions. Wait a second. I have my adorable little daughter. She's born. I love her to death. And about 3 or 4 years old, she starts moving objects with her hand, right? Like, ooh, like telekinesis.
The witch, burn it. I know.
And all of a sudden, hello, you've got a beautiful little daughter. She is fantastic.
Take her. You could have her.
How about we just take her back to Coruscant? We'll raise her. We're going to treat her great. It'll be a wonderful life for her, and she's going to serve the universe in a fantastic way. She's going to be so important, and we're just so thankful that you brought her into this world. But here's the deal: we're going to take her. You'll never see her again, ever.
Yeah.
How do people respond to that, right? How many of us? And Jason, you're a girl dad, right? You're a boy dad too. Your kid's like 3 years old. Some monk shows up in a robe and says, "Hey, Jason Ward, want to take your kiddo?
How much?" Yeah. No. I mean, on one hand, I think in that universe where what the Jedi do, I think there would be one perspective would be, that's amazing. I have contributed to something that keeps peace in the world, and the kid is special, and I couldn't possibly do what this kid needs. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I could see that being a perspective, but then I could also see, like in this one where you have twins, and one is like, "No, you can't take my sister from me. That's crazy." It makes sense.
Right.
Because the mom, the creator mom, she is pretty much like, it's your choice. You're going to do what you want to do. She kind of has like a little bit of a Shmi thing going. And then the other one though is like, nah, that ain't right. I think what's going to happen too is I think Chimere, whatever his name is going to be like the actual Sith. I think he's doing a Yoda the whole time. I think he's pretending to be Yoda when Luke meets Yoda on Dagobah, he pretends to be like a little idiot. But he's actually Yoda, the Jedi Master. I think that's what he's doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up finding out that he saves May on the bottom of that pit or something. You know what I mean? Because they made a deal with this guy. But they made it somehow. They did something with the Sith in some way. And there's no. And I think he's going to have gotten to the ear of the Zabrak mom, and then is sowing discord there, knowing that he will be able to then capitalize and get what he wants out of it from them.
I agree. The Zabrak mom, she's a little sus, right? She's a little suspicious.
She has some anger issues. She's a fighter. Definitely.
Yeah. And I'm very curious to see the other side of this little story that we mentioned, and what happened. How did all these witches die, and where is she?
Because none of that makes the. I mean, it might just be bad. They might have just shot it badly, but if they didn't just shoot it badly, the bodies are kind of like the way that they died doesn't really make any sense. They're not burned up. They're not Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. They're not smoke inhalation. Like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Like, there's none of those signs. It's just either either something else completely different happened, or it's or it's shot badly. We'll see.
No, I'm
we'll
sure
see.
that it's something else. There was some sort of wave that went through there and just took them all out. And you see a little bit of that from when Osha's climbing through the little tunnel, and there's a skylight or a vent or whatever. Yeah, and then you see this like flash, and then
that was that reactor thing falling, wasn't it? Like supposed to be like
just
that?
Before that.
Oh, okay.
Before the reactor.
Okay.
And there was this wave of energy that came, a little flash of something, and it could have been May. We don't know. It could have been May, doing a force thing with fire. It could have been the mothers doing a force thing. Could have been the Jedi doing a force thing, and it reacts in some way, and they all die based off of that impact of that whatever that was. Right? Yeah. Don't know. And then Osha makes her way out, and the reactor is there. The reactor blows up, and then, of course, that's another source of fire. Ben says, I think there's a rationale for some of that, though. The whole attachment thing is an issue, right? It led to Anakin's fall, and we're applying real-world views on space wizards. Yeah, Ben, I agree. But it's a question that's been in the fandom like forever, and it's something that I'm somewhat enjoying that they are bringing up as a discussion, but I'm also worried because the answers to those questions can go different ways. And
but also like that idea of it, the way that fans discuss it, like the Jedi it's like a systemic failure of the Jedi because of their practices and the way that they do this thing. However, if they've been doing it for thousands of years, and this usually never happens, and it happens this one time in this series, it doesn't actually make the Jedi practices flawed. It means this one time it really went south because of these different factors that were really weird. Because usually when they come to take a kid, it's like a guy like me, and I'm like, okay, I'm not like a powerful secret witch with dealings with Sith lords, stuff like that. It's like so I think that this becomes like the outlier, but when it does go bad, it clearly really goes bad.
Yeah. Matt brings up a good point, and I saw this brought up in one of the books I was reading. This whole attachment thing, because it's something that has been challenged in different stories, and now we're seeing it in this one. It seemed like Soul basically adopted Osha when she was recovering in the ship. Certainly seemed like attachment. Well, you see that too with Jedi Masters and their Padawans, except if you are, what's her name? From the Clone Wars animated series. There was Anakin and Ahsoka, and there was Ahsoka. Oh, what's her name? You guys know it. They'll get it before me.
Well, Saul is attached. Like, he pulls an Anakin Skywalker. When Anakin's like, I guess the Jedi are encouraged to love. He literally does that when his Padawan calls him out on keeping the pictures of her, and like she's like, that's attachment, homie, and he's just like, oh no, he uses some word games to definitely has, and I'm of the opinion, just if it's not filled in the narrative, that Osha has been the one tapping into the Force in this way that is what wakes him up and is like, we got to go there and investigate, because I think something's calling me, like there's a kid there or something's there that we need to pick up. I think it might be a Padawan. And I think then he sees her, he's like, there it is. That's her. That's what I've been looking for. I think that's kind of where it's going to go.
Yeah. I think so. And Fitz was right about Barris. It's Barris and her master
Luminara,
Luminara. Yeah, Luminara is like, oh,
Marinara.
lost another Padawan. I'll just go get a new one. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Marinara, a Gelatini. Sorry,
Anakin's like, wait, no, we're gonna go save him. Luminara was probably the best from a detached perspective of any Jedi Master that I've ever seen. She's like, she dies. It's fine.
yeah.
And she also was the source of some issue back with everybody's favorite sisters, who from the Clone Wars, and what are their names? They have Hispanic names. Anyway, the
two women who saved Ahsoka in that one
the
episode.
Marquez sisters.
Yeah,
Because their family was killed in an event that Luminara was involved with, and Luminara never comes back to be like, "Hey, is everybody okay?" They're like, "Oh, sorry, your dad died," and then they just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! But so anyway, I like that the story is bringing this up, and I'm hoping that as this plays itself out, we see that the Jedi are not the bad guys here.
Right.
They're not terrible, but their practices are sometimes interpreted that way. And I think we're going to see when we get the rest of the story told that they had some involvement in why all these witches died. Whether it was, I don't think that they outright just killed them, but I think that through the course of battle, they may like use a big force push, and it pushes something back on them, kills them all, something like that. And so they're indirectly the cause of their death through some action that they did, and then they then hold on to that guilt, right? So, so overall, I enjoyed some of the episode, the vast majority of it.
Mhm.
There are pieces that are cringy for sure. All right, the song, did not like the power one, power two, power many. No, didn't like it. But the concept, and you and I had a little back and forth yesterday about this. I think the whole power of one is less than the power of two, which is less than the power of many.
Yeah.
And they're showing that each individual, when joined together with somebody else, can be stronger.
Right.
And the more people join together, we can be stronger yet. So
sound like a bunch of communists to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Marxist witches. No.
Now I got to go rethink my life. There's my friend Reefer Man. I saw him in the chat. Hey, loving the show so far. It's the last Jedi of the show, but I'm digging it. I'm somewhere on this last episode around an 8 out of 10. Certainly some pieces of it did not land for me. And some of the kids acting and some of the scenes were really bad. But a lot of the story was fantastic, and I loved it. And I feel like overall the show just really worked for me. And I hear all that you're saying, Jason, and our friend Baymax, he's been a little grouchy about it. Meg is a little grouchy about it, and it's fine. It's fine. Andre says, I don't even feel that the show is showing them as bad, the witches, right? I even tell that they only take the children with permission. Oh, the Jedi, and the show treats Osha following her path as a good thing. You're right. There is this problem in that. Do you let?
Yeah, Matrix even says like, we will test her with your permission. She like literally says like you can say no.
Yeah, exactly. And she says, first of all, you can't deny that we have the right to test her, but with your permission.
Yeah.
So it's not
I have a feeling though, if they were to say no, that then the Jedi start watching you because they need to make sure, what are you going to become? What are you going to do? And if they're watching one of the kids, they're going to be watching the Coven, and they don't want the Coven watched because they have an agenda. I think that was my reading of the lay of the land in the episode.
The update on the poll: 28% say Darth Zipperface is their favorite.
Zipperface is winning.
Yeah, 26%, just behind. 26% Smilo Rin.
Smilo Rin.
But the number one answer, 30%, is I'm not playing your game. No, it's NA. Star Wars.
Darth Gimp clearly won because it wasn't an option.
It's not an option. Hey, Santa Jason, do you think we'll see Yoda? You think he'll be involved in the cover-up? I'll let you answer. Well, I'll answer first because I know what I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I think no. I think no Yoda. Yoda is alive in the time period for sure. He's definitely involved in the Jedi Order. He was before this in the High Republic. Yaddle is also involved from the High Republic era, and in the prequel era. Also, Poof is around. He's the long neck guy with the tiny little head. Yariel Poof. He's around in the era. He's from before and drink.
He does this. He just sits there.
His neck.
Yeah. Just watch him in the background. It cracks me up.
You know how Indians they have this thing. His just is a wave. Right?
Yeah, he's just like it's like he's in the ocean or something.
I agree with Matt. I think Yariel Poof is in the series. I think we're likely to see him in addition to Vernestra Rowe. I do not think we're going to see Yoda or Yaddle. What do you think?
Yeah, well, so get it out of the way. I think Vernestra Rowe looks like trash.
Me too.
That looks like Babylon 5 from the 90s. Not acceptable. If you think that passes for a main character's look, you need to go back to Star Wars school.
Yeah, not
and
good.
Then, so on the Yoda front, this is just me bringing in my own garbage with it. I heard when the High Republic stuff was kicking off, it was all to get a Yoda movie out. They wanted to make a Yoda movie. And then Baby Yoda happens. Everything gets pushed back. Not because of Baby Yoda, like High Republic stuff. Those movies didn't happen. Baby Yoda happens. And I think Yoda was kind of off the table. But I still think that that's something that you want to keep in reserve. And I'm of the opinion that if he shows up in the show, it would boost the show quite a bit. Logistically, if Frank Oz was involved with a real puppet, I feel like I would know. Doesn't mean I would, though. Not so arrogant to think I would know everything, but I have always known. And so maybe this time I dropped the ball. But so then it would have to be like the CGI Yoda. CGI Yoda is very, very outdated at this point. And I don't know, from when I talked to people in the industry, they were usually like, we would have to remake it.
Yeah.
And if with the CGI Yoda. So I think logistically, it's unlikely. I think from the perspective of saving something to capitalize on it later, I think it's also unlikely. That said, though, the show probably needs it because they are well aware when they put an Anakin on the screen or somebody like that, like you could look at the numbers, they spike. And then the shows grow through those cameos. This one doesn't really, like Yarl Poof is no. You know, Plo Koon shows up or whatever, it's not going to matter. But Yoda is one of the things that they can capitalize on. Chewbacca would be one of the things they could capitalize on. Not that they should, but they could. And there's just not very many other things other than Yoda. But I would be of the opinion that would be a season 2 holdover if you were to do it, because that's something that you can do next season. And then it's like, whoa, it went even further. They didn't do it last season. I thought they couldn't even do it. You know,
well, you brought it up. So I'll just follow up right now. What are the chances that this show gets a season 2?
I'd say it probably this isn't a value judgment. This is just an industry judgment. And I say 40%.
Wow.
I would
That's a
say
lot more
60% chance though that unlikely that it will happen. If it does happen, I don't think it could happen at the budget at which we have it now. The numbers are not as good as they want you to believe. They're playing games to hide the amount of we'll know better when the actual Nielsen ratings come out in about a month after the first episode. That's when we'll have like a better like look, and we could actually gauge it against other Star Wars shows. Right now, I'm of the opinion that just based off of the preliminary data, that it's not as far as it's not as much as Ahsoka even. And Ahsoka was a show that was like felt to be a given, even by the crew, that season 2 would happen, and it didn't happen right away. They held their breath on greenlighting it because of its numbers weren't stellar. So this show costs more than Ahsoka. This show's more controversial than Ahsoka. This show is kind of all over the place critically, and it's way more expensive. So I'm of the opinion that that's why I'm saying like it's probably 60% unlikely, and it's probably actually more than that, but that's just me being like it could still happen. They might not have something lined up, and they might just find a cheaper way to make it. They might make less episodes. They might cut out, the expensive bits. We might not return to sets that are expensive. Maybe they'll move it to Southern California and do it in the volume instead. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities for how that can go. But I would, but I'm betting against it happening. It's not even what I want, because I do think if they, for instance, if they did 5 seasons of the show, I think all of the really grating mistakes that are made, I think will likely be fixed if they continue on. But if it's a one and done, the mistakes are it. It's always its mistakes, and it can never like redeem itself or course correct anything that's broken. So I do want there to be more seasons. I'm not like rooting against it, but I do think, just from an industry perspective, I don't think Disney's going to be dropping 200 million ish on Disney Plus shows anytime soon.
Well, yeah, well, that's we're coming up on an hour and a half, and I'm going to have to go. But I agree with you on most of what you said there. Absolutely, the budget's too high to keep doing seasons at this rate. The profit model thing is still very mysterious as far as like profitability of a show that can be credited to the show to warrant the budget. Right? It's tough when you're doing it on streaming, especially when they're so behind the curtains with the numbers and trying to figure it out. It's just, I don't know how they do that. And I've also heard, was reported like in early interviews where Leslie was saying she tried to do the season as a self-contained entity, where Ahsoka felt like it was the introduction, like it ended on the season cliffhanger, and we're waiting for season 2. It demanded a season 2 from the story, not from the audience or whatever, but the story itself demands a season 2. This one, I'm not so sure. We'll have to see how it wraps up, but I'm not so sure that it's going to demand the season 2 like Ahsoka did, and then we'll have to see how it plays out. I tend to be much lower. I think maybe a 5% chance of a second season. I really feel like the hate is so large for it. The backlash is so huge that it just doesn't feel like it's a winner for them. Like
I love Saul though. Saul is so good. Such a good character, and the performer, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, he's the coolest guy. He's the coolest Obi-Wan Kenobi Qui-Gon we've had since Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Aggressively, he says huge budgets are a tax fraud. It's a feature, not a bug. Yeah. I love that. Let's see. There was something else I saw in the chat that I wanted to go back up to. Mm-hmm. Rick said a 35% chance. Mike says, I got money on the witches having learned how to create life from the Sith. They don't want the Jedi to find out. Third-party involvement in the fire massacre. That's a good. Oh, here we go. Andre, is Acolyte the rings of power of Star Wars? I'm not so sure, because I think
too early. It's too early, I think, at this point.
And rings of power. So there's a big difference here. I feel like The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien had a vast amount of underlying story, the world building. He had volumes and volumes of notes and references and like detailed world building involved. And his story was very carefully planned out and executed in Lord of the Rings. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. George Lucas, not so much. Most of it was in his head. There's some foundational truths that he was holding on to, but even as the shows or the movies developed, those things moved, and over the years, those things evolved. He didn't have a really strong foundational like volumes of backstory.
Or does he mean from the industry perspective
World
of
building.
where it costs $1 billion and the bang for the buck is highly questionable?
Yeah, I'm getting there. So the problem we have with the Rings of Power is from a fandom perspective that it contradicts much of what fans already know as truth, like Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Lord of the Rings and Tolkien. With Star Wars, we're in an era that is undefined.
Right.
So you don't have the same. So is it the Rings of Power of Star Wars? No, from that perspective, not at all. Is it from a fan reception and like execution and performance? It seems to be on track, but they're very different. Very different.
And something else to note, that because this show isn't like the other Star Wars shows, though. It's not like them. It's actually pretty different from them. However, the Star Wars shows don't really grow so much, and then like in the how other shows do, they tend to kind of fall off a little bit more. As they tend to open big and then kind of like maybe they got a cameo spike, but without it, they kind of like just have a continual like drop off. And this one's only had 3 episodes. So if the show happens to grow, if we get to like the 6th episode and the numbers are going up, that might be enough for them to go, it could pay off. Like we don't know where this growth stops. We should keep going. That's a possibility, but very unlikely.
Aggressively relaxing. Disney paid $5 billion for Star Wars when it was just me and like 4 other people reading the books. Right, this small audience still is. Right,
Mm-hmm.
All these people complaining are just gravy dollars to this franchise. You're not wrong. Controversy is still keeping you ever present in public space, whether that's good or bad. Right. And he says also Tolkien nerds love Rings of Power. Some do, some don't. No chance it'll go up. Not sure what you mean. No chance it'll go up.
The ratings. He's saying there's no chance the ratings.
Well, that's a whole nother mess. That's a whole nother mess.
Yeah, whole other show. Next show, probably.
Yeah, you get into, and I kind of expressed this before. People who are highly motivated to let their voices be heard seek out avenues to express those frustrations. Rotten Tomatoes is a very popular outlet for those emotions. The people who are motivated to put those ratings on there are the people who are very, very unhappy, and it's driving those scores down. And it'll continue to stay down, I think, largely. The people who are happy or very happy have very little motivation to go out there and just, review online to make their opinions known. So that's the dynamic associated there. It's not a scientific model of quality at all. And that's true of all those kind of places. So Star Wars Democracy, I'll give Acolyte this. I've had fun speculating, theorizing about the show. So very good. Jason, you up to, I listened to your show the other day when Bespin was on with you. And he gave some spoilers for the upcoming episode.
Yeah.
Are you up to sharing those here, or should I make people go watch your show?
Well, if you go watch the show, you could hear it from Bespin's mouth specifically, which would be better. But I'll talk about it. I'll tell them what it is if you know. But if you don't want the spoilers, you might want to bounce.
Right. So let me give the Mike Porter dad joke. So anybody who wants to bounce, the bonus content comes after the dad joke, and the bonus content are spoilers for the next episode. So the speculation, we can help inform some of it. The Mike Porter dad joke. Why did the Millennium Falcon? Where'd it go? Hold on.
It's all the way on the right. That's weird.
It is weird. It's like, wait, what are you doing all the way over there? Here. Is that better?
Yeah.
Why did the Millennium Falcon keep changing hands with smugglers?
I don't know, Mike Porter. Why?
Oh, because every smuggler likes a hand-me-down.
All right.
Hand me down. There you go.
I'll take it.
Yeah. It checks out. It's a good one. No. Oh, I know why it's over there, because I moved the spoiler warning. The other day I had myself in a miniature down at the bottom. It was right over my face.
Little tiny Santa.
Let me move the spoiler warning to the other side. So there you go. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about episode 4. And this comes from the desk of the Bespin of Bulletins, shared on the makingstarwars.net.
Most recent episode my most recent episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Your reaction to the episode 3.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of, I don't remember if it's in 3 or 4, 4 or 5. I think it's in 4. Basically when May finally gets to Kelnaka to kill him, he's already dead. He's already been killed by that one Sith guy who we saw. And so that right there is a really like a head scratcher. And my interpretation of that bit is that the Sith killed Kelnaka so she could never finish her revenge. And by never being able to finish her revenge, she'll continually be evil. She can never have that fulfillment of, I did it, I can move on. No, she will never be able to move on. I think that's why they did it. But what I find interesting about it is 2 things. A video that I posted on my Twitter account shows Khmer in what looks to be like the black Sith outfit that we saw before. And Khmer is the one who's all, is it Khmer or Khmer? I don't remember. I can must get Khmer. But he's the one who's like, hey, don't kill me. He stops her from killing him in the moment, and then it's like, don't kill me. And then he's like, I found the Wookiee. I found Kelnaka. Right. And then she's like, oh, okay, you're my friend now. Good work, friend. And then when they go there, he's already dead though. So to me, it's like, it doesn't make any sense that it's not him. So when I start to put all of these little things together, I'm of the opinion that he's doing the Yoda thing. He's pretending to be the weak, meek little fool. But he's really Dracula. He's not Dracula's bug-eating henchman. He's pretending to be, but he's actually Dracula. And so that's kind of where I think this is going. But the only thing that is a spoiler, and all of that was my interpretation of it, is he is dead when she arrives. That's the spoiler, to be very clear. That's just because I know when you give like a very brief spoiler like that, people are like, well, what does it mean? Who cares? Like, what's the point? Well, why? That's dumb. Why would they do that? And I'm like, well, here's why I think they're doing it. But
yeah. So next episode, we jump back to current time, right? They were leaving to go find Kelnaka. And when they find him, he's dead. He's dead. Gone. Yeah. Who killed him? Dun, dun, dun. We have to find out. Right?
And I also got to say, I don't think Kelnaka looks good. I think he's the worst looking Wookiee we've seen. I think Jonas does a good job as Chewbacca in the films. So it's not him, but that mask, something about it doesn't look alive. I don't know what it is. Something is off about the mask compared to Black Chrysanthemum and Chewbacca in the sequel movies. Like, something is just not right. So I'm glad he's dead.
Well, I think he looks fine. Fine. The only criticism that I really feel myself about it is when he's wearing the cloak and stuff, it's Jonas's body, right? So it's trim, it's smaller, and you get a big Wookiee head on this like person's body. What they needed to do is bulk up the body so that the suit fit the head, but they didn't do that. So if you look at it kind of critically that way, you're like,
yeah, it doesn't feel alive to me. It just feels like kind of off. But
if I go back to the prequels and see the Wookiees there, I feel like he fits in just fine. He fits in. Now I get it. We're way down the road from them, and we have other examples of Wookiees, but he works for me. He works for me, and he's going to be dead. So there you have it. But we are going to get more of his story when we go back for the part 2 of the flashback, right? When that happens. Yeah, so there's the scene where you can see Kamir wearing this like black poncho kind of looking thing and no helmet, right? So you don't know for sure. The helmet's not in the scene, but he's wearing a black poncho kind of thing. And you see, because I saw it when you posted it to Twitter X, you can see Osha and Soul kind of getting ready to do battle with him.
And I just want to throw it out there too that while my take is just he's a Sith Lord because I'm just Occam's razoring the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like Andre says, I'm pretty sure Kamira is the red lightsaber guy, but I don't think he's a Sith. It's a distraction. I would go another way with that if that's the case. I think he's another acolyte. And that might be his thing. So he might be actually using her to do his. He might be more of a Palpatine using manipulation of her to be his thug, and then he plans on just killing her and then getting the job. Like that could also be where this goes. And it might just be at the end of it. Might be a fight between 2 acolytes. I mean, that's possible.
Very well could be. And I keep trying to come up with different kind of theories to keep us away from it being a Sith. Except Leslie's told us it's a story about the Sith. Last topic before we wrap up, Jason.
My ride's here. Sorry.
The last topic.
Yeah.
A lot of people are upset because they had in mind for this series was going to be a backstory about the Sith. And we don't have diddly squat about Sith 3 episodes in. We're more than an hour and a half into content. And we're yet to hear Sith or see any confirmation of Sith or get any Sith lore, get anything about the Sith.
If you don't love the show, you should be happy about that.
It's a big criticism.
But if you don't like the show, if the show's not working for you and you think it's like really bad, isn't that great for you? That is not touching the sacred Sith. You know what I mean? Like
that's true. At the same time, I think that maybe
the show's called The Acolyte, though. The show's called The Acolyte. You know that you're in Ventress territory at that point.
Yeah.
What does Ventress know about Palpatine? I don't think anything.
Exactly. I think I go back to the Star Wars or Lucasfilm marketing PR group. When you set up expectations, we're coming in all Sith, hot and heavy, and this is going to be the greatest lightsaber duel since the prequels. And we're 3 episodes in. We haven't had a single lightsaber duel per se, just a straight up lightsaber duel. We did have some lightsabers action, but not a, duel per se. And we haven't had hide nor hair of like Sith stuff. Maybe you should have led in the marketing early on and through the process what people more are going to see unveiled as we go. Let the Sith stuff come. And I'm not saying that in the last 3 episodes may just be absolute fire Sith dueling, like most amazing Star Wars you've ever seen. It's just 3 episodes in. We don't have any evidence of that. And it's getting some criticism because of it. And I throw it back to marketing. Poor marketing.
Well, yeah. I mean, like not to harp on that all day, but yeah, your interesting parts of the show where that it's about these twins and they think one another's dead and there's like the crime is being pinned on the other one and what's going to happen. And instead they were like, here's just a bunch of generic Star Wars footage without any coherency. Don't you guys want more? And the answer was like, people are like, I don't know. I don't think so. You know, it was a mistake. And they it's not 2014 anymore. You can't just put a Star Wars logo on it and everybody's going to come out. And when those movies come out, if they don't fix this perspective, they're going to have some $400 million Star Wars movies, and they're going to have a lot of questions. It's going to be hell for them if they don't really wake up.
Yeah,
and you know, it's a whole different world now. And you could just look at the box office from this year, and it's nothing is a given anymore. Ghostbusters was like, even that was the fifth or sixth highest movie of the year, made 200 million, didn't even make as much as the last Ghostbusters. Like, and that's like the number 5 movie right now. They're going to be lucky if they hit 700 on these new movies.
Yeah, it's the budgets have got to be drastically smaller.
Yeah, they will be, and when that happens, the quality might be drastically worse. That's the other side of it.
They can't do that. You need high quality with low budget, and you got to find that sweet spot where you can do that and still make money on your movie when it only does 700 million or 500 million or 400 million at the box office, right? If your movie is only going to clear 500 million at box office, let's be generous and say you get to take home 250. Well, your budget needs to be less than that, so you got something to keep the lights on. You know, they just got to work that out. Jason, my friend, let's do this again. Hopefully next week.
For sure. I hope so.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody. The super chats. Wow, you guys have been amazing today, and I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. And I hope episode 4, we shared some spoilers with you. There's one other thing. Do you want to talk about the controversy coming up?
Which one is that?
For episode 4?
What is it? Oh, the pronoun thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's like a critter and they don't know what it is or something, right? I don't know. I can't remember how it went, but it's like, it's I don't know. I mean, if the pronouns make you mad, I honestly don't give a sith. See what I did there? I didn't cuss on your show. Yeah, it's I mean, people looking to get mad are going to get mad. The other people are going to be like, it doesn't matter, and then they're going to start talking about the politics of it, and it's going to be a bunch of nonsense. So it's war games. The only way to win is just not to fight. Just don't play.
Brace yourselves that we have a pronoun coming. Yeah. There are fights that I want to have. And there was a comment that came in early in the show that I nixed because we don't need to be having those kind of discussions about gender and stuff outside the context of this. And I don't care that Leslie's a lesbian. I don't care that
if it's the point of the episode, then it would be relevant. But if it's not happening in the episodes, it's not really relevant.
There was some of it in the episode, but it was contextualized correctly. You got a coven of witches. Shocker.
Some are gay. Makes sense.
Right? There's going to be that. And this means of procreating unnaturally. How did that happen? We don't know yet. But let's assume the worst, it was through the Force, or that she somehow did some AI there. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll find out. But to me, that is all noise outside my own political, religious beliefs. Have nothing to do with it. It's 2024, and maybe things in culture aren't what we want it to be. But it is what it is. And to me, I'm just trying not to be the racist, bigoted, nasty old man who complains about back in the day when we didn't have to worry about racial slurs and gender identity. I don't want to be that guy.
But yeah. And it's also like not even something that you actually have to really worry about or even like I could go my whole day today and not have to actually deal with that. That's not a thing.
I do as Santa. From time to time,
Yeah.
I'll do visits with families who are absolutely adamant that I do not use pronouns,
Hmm.
or that because their son is dealing with their gender identity, their
Okay.
daughter, and they just don't want me to do it, and they make it clear to me. So do I have to deal with it? Yeah. Do I like it? No. It's a lot harder as Santa to not, you're looking at a kid, the kid presents as a male or female, like I see them, I'm interacting with them. It is hard to not call somebody who is presenting as a
Yeah, somebody who you don't really know like very
yeah,
well. It's easy to make the to slip. I can see that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. Bespin made it.
Bye, best friend.
Thanks for promoting it, but you could stop if you want. Where that anyone helps out, I appreciate it. Look, I love the Bespin. He's a good guy, and I get it. Thanks for dropping in, Bespin, and we'll be in touch. So you guys have a great day, wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week, and we can talk about pronouns. That'd be awesome.
Let's do it.
All right. Until then, my friends, Merry Christmas, and may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.